We have a really great vision here at Psanctuary, which includes community built on sustainability through permaculture and more accessible and frequent opportunities for services with our sacrament for members. For these Sunday services, this is a place to gather together as a currently small but growing. I see our numbers. I can't see anyone's faces, so it's kind of strange. I'm just talking to the welcome screen, where we gather and we grow. Although we do not partake in the sacrament during our Sunday services, we find common ground together, recognition that the mushroom has brought us together. And for more information on sacrament services that are currently available, you can reach out to me at info@psanctuary.org. So the service portion of our gathering today is around 30 minutes of silent participation on your part. And Courtney and I will be facilitating the service today, and Eric will be leading our discussion afterwards, which we will allot an hour and a half for, so it will go till noon. And we invite you to stay and participate if you feel called to. We do have 2 readings every Sunday. We will be moving through different texts throughout our time together. Right now, we are reading from the Tao Te Ching and the Game of Life. We chose these readings because we feel that they communicate the messages we've often received from our time spent with the mushroom, but in different ways. We'll also read from a poem, our Litany of Gratitude, which is read to acknowledge our oneness with all that is. So with that being said, we will begin the service portion. So if you find a comfortable seat, thank you again for joining us, and we do hope you stay for discussion afterwards. And if not, we wish you a great Sunday and week ahead. So I will get our service started by again welcoming and thanking you for joining our sanctuary community and celebration. As we begin our statement of faith, we recognize that this statement does not exhaust the full extent of our faith. We believe that sacred mushrooms are the primary source of personal and divine revelation. We seek counsel from the mushroom to find direction and inspiration in our faith practice. And we believe that all individuals who seek true revelation from divinity can do so. And I will pass it to Courtney this morning for our meditation.
Thanks so much, Athena. Hi, everyone. It's so good to see some new faces this morning. A lot of beautiful faces. You can't see Athena, but I am very lucky. I can see everyone's faces. Please get comfortable. I'm going to lead about a 5 to 10 minute meditation. This is a little different than usual. Usually we do a silent meditation. So this morning we're going to try a guided meditation. So start off by taking a deep breath. I invite you to close your eyes if that feels right. I call this meditation holding space for yourself. Take a few deep breaths. Just notice how your body feels in this moment. And bring yourself to your center in these breaths. In this meditation, I invite you to practice holding space for yourself. Feel out an emotion, a thought, or anything really that is feeling alive for you right now. And this can be something that you would like some space to sit with and process this morning. Could be something that feels light, or maybe something that feels more charged and heavy for you. So anything that feels right is welcome. We'll take about 10 minutes to practice this, holding space. Know that you can relax into this space, knowing we're only going to be here for about 10 minutes. Let's start by dropping into self, a place of calm, compassion, love, and presence within yourself, just to the best of your ability right now. Something I invite you to do is place one hand on your belly and one hand on your heart, if it feels right, as you continue to breathe deeply. Breathe in slow and feel your belly rise and let go, allowing it to release in and out. Do this for about 5 more breaths. Moving into a space of calm, loving compassion. As you feel more connected to self, we call this holding space. Maintaining that connection with self when it feels right. I invite you now to welcome in that feeling, thoughts, story, whatever it is that right now it feels right to play around with a little bit in this meditation. Hold space for. I invite you to practice holding space for this part or thought or feeling. There may even be multiple feelings, thoughts, or parts that you feel coming up. You may find that these parts are ready to share right away, or maybe they would like a little bit of guidance to know how to begin sharing, and they want to feel safe and welcome. It can be helpful to ask yourself some of the questions addressing these parts, whatever feels right for you, just to help them feel welcome and safe. To try, how are you feeling right now? Would you like to tell me what you're feeling? I'm here for you. And just help them feel safe and welcome by letting them know you want to hold space. And it's safe to share here right now. Just practice feeling into this space. It's all a practice, learning to listen to different parts of yourself and what they have to say. Take about 5 more deep breaths. Continue to maintain connection with self and your breath. You feel you're being swept away by feelings or thoughts, losing your connection with self. That's okay. Just take a moment to reconnect with your breath in that space of calm, loving, curious compassion. And then just continue to hold space for those feelings and thoughts, parts. When it feels right for you, you can offer your gratitude to these thoughts, feelings, parts for sharing and being willing to be vulnerable with you this morning. Just take a few deep breaths together with these feelings and thoughts, and just remember that this is a space to be with self and all of our parts, however they're showing up this morning. At this time, I invite you to offer yourself one more breath of gratitude for creating the space for yourself and showing up for this service this morning for not only yourself, but your community as well. And when you're ready, just wiggle a little bit, keeping your eyes closed, but just wiggle your fingers and toes, and you can remove your hands from your belly and your heart if you would like. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes as we continue on with our service today. Give you a few more moments to come back into the space before we move on to the next part of our service. Thank you, everyone.
Kevin will be helping us with our first reading this morning.
Good morning. All right, so I had to get everything situated. Sorry about that. All right, this will be chapter 4, the law of non-resistance. Nothing on earth can resist an absolutely non-resistant person. The Chinese say that water is the most powerful element because it's perfectly non-resistant. It can wear away a rock and sweep away all before it. Jesus Christ said, "Resist not evil, for he in reality there is no evil, therefore nothing to resist." Evil has come of man's vain imagination, or a belief in two powers, good and evil. There is an old legend that Adam and Eve ate the tree of illusion and saw two powers instead of one power, God. Therefore, evil is a false law man has made for himself through soul sleep. Soul sleep means the human soul has been hypnotized by the belief of sin, sickness, and death. This is carnal or mortal thought. We have read in a preceding chapter that the human soul is the subconscious mind, and whatever one feels deeply, good or bad, is brought forth by the faithful servant. The body and its affairs show forth what we have been picturing. I heard a metaphysician once say, if you do not run your subconscious mind yourself, someone else will run it for you. Parents often, unconsciously, attract disaster to their children by continually holding them in thoughts of fear and watching for fear to appear. However, the person who is centered and established in right thinking, who sends out only goodwill to their fellow humans, and who is without fear, cannot be touched or influenced by the negative thoughts of others. In fact, this person could then receive only good thoughts as they send forth only thoughts. Resistance is hell, for it places one in a state of torment. A metaphysician once gave me a wonderful recipe for taking every trick in the game of life. It is the acme of non-resistance. He gave it in this way. At one time in my life, I baptized children, and of course, they had many names. Now I no longer baptize children, but I baptize events. But I give every event the same name. If I have a failure, I baptize the success in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Ghost. In this, we see the great law of transmutation founded on non-resistance. Through his spoken word, every failure has been transmuted into success. Bless your enemy and rob him of his ammunition. His arrows would be transmuted into blessings. The law is true of nations as well as individuals. Bless a nation, send love, and give goodwill to every inhabitant, and it is robbed of power to harm. Man can only get the idea of non-resistance through spiritual understanding. My students have often said that I don't want to be a doormat. I reply, when you use non-resistance and wisdom, no one will ever be able to walk over you. So long as one resists a situation, they will have it with them. If you run away from it, it'll run after him. For example, I repeated to this woman one day, and she replied, how true that is. I was happy at home. I disliked my mother, who was critical and domineering, so I ran away and I was married. But I married my mother, for my husband was exactly like my mother and had the same situation. Agree with thine adversary quickly, I always say. This means agree, and the adverse situation is good. Be undisturbed by it, and it falls away from its own weight. None of these things move me. It is a wonderful affirmation.
Thanks, Kevin. We will now move into our litany of gratitude, and I invite you to unmute your mic if you would like and join me in saying the line, we live in all things live in us. I'll give you a moment to do that if you'd like to join me in that verse. We live by the sun, we feel by the moon, we move by the stars. We live in all things live in us. We eat from the earth, we drink from the rain, we breathe of the air. We live in all things live in us. We call to each other, we listen to each other, our hearts deepen with love and compassion.
We live in
all things.
all things live in us.
We depend on the trees and animals. We depend on the earth. Our minds open with wisdom and insight. We live in all things. All things live in us. We dedicate our practice to others. We include all forms of life. We celebrate the joy of living and dying. We live in all things. All things live in us. We are full of life. We are full of death. We are grateful for all beings and companions. Thank you, everyone. If you'd like to mute your mics for our next reading, give us a moment to do that. And Rushian will help us with our next reading.
Okay, awesome. Give thanks, Athena. Blessed morning, everyone. It's coming from the Tao Te Ching, chapter 28. Know the masculine, keep to the feminine, and be the brook of the world. To be the brook of the world is to move constantly in the path of virtue without swerving from it, and to return again to infancy. Know the white, keep to the black, and be the pattern of the world. To be the pattern of the world is to move constantly in the path of virtue without erring a single step, and to return again to the infinite. Know the glorious, keep to the lowly, and be the fountain of the world. To be the fountain of the world is to live the abundant life of virtue, and to return again to primal simplicity. When primal simplicity diversifies, it becomes useful vessels, which in the hands of the sage become officers. Hence, a great tailor does little cutting. Give thanks.
Thank you, Rushian. So we'll now take around 5 minutes to reflect on these readings today, and we do have some prompts for you. So if you have your journal nearby or your mind's eye, the first question we have: do you agree or disagree with Shin's statement, "Nothing on earth can resist a non-resistant person"? Why or why not? And our second question: we all resist in one way or another. Don't be too hard on yourself. Identify one or two areas where you are resisting. What would non-resistance look like? What kind of outcome might it yield? So we'll give us around 5 minutes for that, and we'll come back together in a moment. All right, if you'd like to finish up your thoughts, and come back together and close out our service portion for today. So we recognize today we've come together with intentions of service to the land and all its inhabitants. It is in our hearts to go forth into the world with the collective consciousness. We encourage our members to stay for continued fellowship and conversation around our readings. And for those unable to stay, we thank you for being with us. And just a few announcements. As we further our conversation, please remember all perspectives are welcome as we search for the spiritual truth that unites us all. We do have some upcoming events. Our subtle sacrament gathering will be on November 20th at Bernheim, where we'll come together and have a subtle sacrament with each other. And for more information, for our members, so for more information, you can reach out to us at info@psanctuary.org. If you're a member, you can find details in the member portal area. We also have our next small group weekend retreat scheduled for December 17th through the 20th here in Kentucky. So again, for more information, reach out. And Katrine, one of our members, will be offering 2 mindfulness sessions this month, November 11th and November 18th at 12 p.m. We're trying a different time, and hopefully we can see some more faces there. Again, if you have any questions, we are here, and I will end our recording